All right, so research questions. Now, if you've never heard of a research question before, that is perfectly fine. Most likely, though, you have heard of it in English 1102, if you took that here at GTC especially. In the library workshop for English 1102, you might remember that there's this video about Jenny who wants to write about bridezillas, right? And they talk about identifying a research question that helps guide your research. That's what we're looking to do with our research question. Now, it needs to be something that is general, yet also narrow, right? So then you might say, well, how can we be general but also narrow? What's the purpose of being both of those things? Well, general, because of the fact that you need to give yourself space to find information. Not every single thing that you think of in your mind will be written in a source. And that's perfect, because that means you're having ideas that people haven't written about before. But it needs to be narrowed on a specific facet of your primary source. Now, that narrowness could be on a particular character. It could be on the influence of a particular setting on a character or a situation, right? You want to think, okay, let me find out a connection here between something that interests me, right? Because we're always looking to write about something that interests us, makes us angry, makes us happy, something like that. So we can feel some sort of emotion and passion and connection to what we're writing. So your research question should be something to help you funnel in to that, okay? That's the goal here. So it's something that is general enough. Maybe how does this specific setting, whether it's a house, right? So how does this house and being in this house affect this particular character, right? Or the same could be said for swapping any of those things out, right? So it's essentially choosing a, kind of a broader theme or idea, and then giving it a little bit of a narrower focus. So in this case, the setting of the house is going to be that broader theme or idea, and the narrower focus is the particular character that it has an effect on, okay? So that's kind of how you want to think about your research question, broad but narrow, general but narrow. And so now we need to think, okay, well, the research question, why do I need it? Because that's going to help guide your research. Your keywords, your search terms, are going to come from the research question that you chose. So if you were to look at, say, the sample annotated bibliography that's posted on Blackboard, you'll see that there's a research question at the top. And that's because the annotated bibliography requires a research question. I want to see what kinds of parameters you're working within for your research. And that becomes a substantial part of your annotated bibliography grade. So that's why we're coming up with a research question for this particular research project, right? Something to guide us, something to help us along, something to use to develop our keywords from. Now, of course, you're going to have a lot more information about your novel than this kind of generalized overview here, but it's all about driving your research forward and keeping you flexible, but also still focused on a particular idea you want to work with. All right, so that's the big thing that I want you to keep in mind. This research question gives you a chance to kind of look into your research and develop it from there. All right, and the reason I'd like you to submit that early is because before you start your research, I want to be able to give you some comments and say, okay, well, your research question is really, really general here. So we need to focus it in a little bit more. And then I'll ask you some questions about, how you see it related to your novel. Or, wow, this research question is really, really focused. I don't know that you'll be able to find enough information related to this particular very narrow thing. Okay, so it's meant for me to be able to give you an idea before you dive into your actual research. So that's why I ask you to have the research question. And also, once you've got your research question nailed down, guess what? You can use that research question in your annotated bibliography. Boom, you've just gotten the points. Put your effort into creating a research question that's going to help you identify your research, and then you can move forward with that research too. Now, don't be afraid to have to tweak your research question. That is perfectly fine. Revision is a part of every writing process. So don't feel like once it's on paper, it's done. No, make sure that you give yourself the flexibility, all right? But make sure to keep it so that you've got something that's a little bit more general and then focused on something in particular. You can see that again in the research question in the annotated bibliography sample. All right, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. That should give you an idea about what a research question is in terms of literature. If you have any questions about it, you know how to find me. Just send me an email and I will get back to you. All right, thanks so much, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time.